Hi, welcome to Angel Cafe and Archangel Trinidad, West Indies. It's Monday, 2nd February 2026, and I want to look under the art and humanities at a bit of literature. It's February. In Trinidad, we celebrate our cultural event called Carnival. We'll be celebrating it in the next 2 weeks. And because of this, I decided to do a little reading again in one of my favorite books, Wide Sargasso Sea by the novelist Jean Rice. Now, this book delves into the life of a woman or a young woman, and it features social and cultural experiences of people and of her in particular, Antoinette. She's a white West Indian woman who struggles against forces of disintegration in her life. Now, one of the main themes in this book is identity. And being a hybrid myself, I understand what this struggle can feel like. However, I have not struggled so much with this issue, so much to say that I have also been at the receiving end, however, of other people's struggle with hybrids and people of mixed race. Some people, like this person, this protagonist in the novel, she is struggling or has struggled with the issue of being both white and black. So she has two distinct races within her. I myself have two distinct races within me. I am mixed with same black or African as well as East Indian. So I am also a hybrid, and it may be different due to cultural experiences. For example, I am in Trinidad, and my experiences have been within Trinidad and Tobago. And this protagonist in the novel, White Sargasso Sea, Antoinette, her cultural experiences are mainly in Jamaica. All right, the novel is mainly set in Jamaica. So I just want to briefly read for you my favorite part of the novel. I will turn to it and I will back up a bit and read for you. Antoinette jumped out of the bed and slapped her face. I hit you back, white cockroach. I hit you back, said Amelie, and she did. Antoinette gripped her hair. Amelie, whose teeth were bared, seemed to be trying to bite. Antoinette, for God's sake, I said from the doorway. She swung around, very pale. Amelie buried her face in her hands and pretended to sob, but I could see her watching me through thick fingers. Go away, child, I said. You call her child? Said Antoinette. She is older than the devil himself, and the devil is not more cruel. Send Christophine up, I said to Amelie. Yes, master. Yes, master, she answered softly, dropping her eyes. But as soon as she was out of the room, she began to sing. Now, this is a few paragraphs on page 123. I'm halfway in the novel. The novel has reached its climax, or the crux of the novel is ebbing out at this stage. And Antoinette, the protagonist, she slaps Amelie, and Amelie calls her black white. I hit you back. Not black white, sorry. I hit you back, white cockroach. So she calls Antoinette white cockroach, right? And Antoinette's husband is who she's calling master. He sends her to call Christophine, all right, the servant, but Amelie begins to sing, and that's a bit of the song. That's the lyrics of the song, part of the song she's singing. The white cockroach she married, the white cockroach she married, the white cockroach she buy young man, the white cockroach she married. So this is what Amelie is singing. When I was young, growing up, I grew up mainly with African people. My father is East Indian and my mother is African. And I was more so raised by my mother and her relatives, which are Africans, and my aunt, which is my mother's sister. When I would come home from school in Port of Spain, I would tell her my sister was fighting in Woodford Square, and they were calling her Blackie Molly, Blackie Molly. What should we say to the other children when they call us Blackie Molly? And well, not us, but my sister rather, and my brother, who incidentally became a soldier. When and my aunt said, when they call you Black Molly, call them white cockroach, because white men forcefully, I'm using discrete words, forcefully went with their ancestors. That's why they have white blood, because black people don't have a white blood. So call them whitey cockroach. And this is what Amelie is alluding to when she calls Antoinette in this book, Sargasso Sea, or White Sargasso Sea, rather, white cockroach. Antoinette says, "Did you hear what that girl was singing?" Antoinette said, "I don't always understand what they say or sing or anything else. It was a song about a white cockroach. That's me. That's what they call all of us who were here before their own people in Africa sold them to the slave traders." And in this instance, she is bringing out, or Antoinette is bringing out here, it's a song about a white cockroach. It's me she's calling that white cockroach. But they sold their own people, Africans in this instance, sold their own people into slavery. And so we have themes of race and race relations and slavery coming through the novel. Well, it's bleeding all through the novel, actually. But in this instance, it's stating or referencing that. And I've heard English women call us white niggers. So between you, I often wonder who I am and where is my country and where do I belong and why was I ever born at all? Will you go now, please? I must dress, like Christophine said. Now, when I had initially read this, I hadn't noticed that at the back of the novel, or maybe I did in hindsight, but it just became my favorite part of the novel where it states, I'll read it again. So between you and I often wonder who I am and where is my country and where do I belong and why was I ever born at all. And so you see the struggle here that Antoinette has. She's being called a white nigger, right? She's a mixed person, right? Some may say hybrid. She's a mixed person with a feeling of no singular affiliation to one race or ethnicity. This is my analysis on it, of course, because I too, I haven't so much struggled as much as I have had to face it constantly based on people's interactions and reactions to me as a mixed person. So I know that Antoinette is feeling this. This is where an instance of where her personality or her personhood is being disintegrated, where she can feel disconnected, where parts of her can begin to separate from other parts of her, or part of her belief then, or her thoughts about herself and who she is, her selfhood then is being challenged in this instance. And she doesn't feel a singular affiliation, because how can she say she's white, or how can she say she's black? Both in inverted commas, of course. And for literature people, we know we can say black and white when we are doing academia. If she doesn't feel that singular affiliation to no one race or ethnicity, all right, because she has two distinct races and cultures within her. She's descended from two distinct types of ancestry, right? So therefore, she has no fixed sense of identity or belonging and purpose. So she says, between you and I wonder who I am. I wonder who I am brings out that she has no fixed sense of identity. She wonders, and where is my country? She doesn't have that sense of belonging that Maslow speaks about. And where do I belong, and why was I ever born at all? She wonders why she was born. So she doesn't feel a strong sense of purpose. And oftentimes you cannot feel a strong sense of purpose if you don't know where you belong or who you are. And oftentimes you cannot know who you are if you are mixed, because you are not one thing or one race or the other, but you are both, or sometimes several races. So this brings us to the end of our little discussion, my little analysis on one of my favorite books, Wide Sargasso Sea. And I will turn to the back of the book and show you that at the back of the book, I realized or remembered that what I'm calling my favorite part or aspect or the crux of the novel is actually at the back of the book.